Your business deploys AI pilots everywhere. But are they going anywhere? Or are they stuck in silos, exhausting resources, unable to scale? Maybe you don't need hundreds of AI pilots, you need a holistic strategy. IBM has 65,000 consultants with Gen AI expertise who can help you design, integrate, and optimize AI solutions. So you're not just deploying AI, you're scaling it across your business. Learn more at ibm.com/consulting. IBM. Let's create.
ABC Wednesdays.
I'm Joan, and I'm your first Golden Bachelorette.
Joan's getting a second chance.
This is about everybody like me, navigating, trying to find love at this age.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't have hope.
Because love never ages.
Golden age doesn't mean you're old. Old is a state of mind, like a lot of living to do.
The Golden Bachelorette, Wednesdays on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, distribute it everywhere, and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit your podcasts right from your phone or your computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&As and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel so supported in the creation and distribution of my show. Spotify for Podcasters hosts masterclasses, office hours, and more to help creators develop and fine-tune their skills. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started. So this is your friendly reminder that it's perfectly okay to do nothing. You're allowed to sit still, you're allowed to unplug, you have full permission to just chill and enjoy doing it. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to or back to 80/20. My name's Lily, I'm your host. Thank you so much for clicking on today's episode. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. I post new episodes every single Thursday, and I'm super pumped that you are here. Current situation, I'm sitting on my bedroom floor. It's a Saturday, and my day in and of itself has kind of inspired today's topic, which we'll get into in a few. But because I'm sitting on the floor, I just know that this episode is probably going to be a good one. For some reason, whenever I'm sitting on the floor, whether I'm like on the floor and on the phone, or on the floor with a friend and we're talking, or I'm on the floor and I'm recording the podcast, just something about sitting on the floor, maybe it's like grounding, I don't know, but I always feel like the best episodes happen when I'm on the floor. And when I first started recording 80/20, are we coming up on 3 years? Well, I started recording in 2020, so I guess the podcast turned 1. I don't know how this math works, but the podcast was 0 in 2020, 1 in 2021. Now it's about to turn 2 in 2022. That doesn't feel right though. No, it's about to turn 3, right? Gosh, I'm gonna sound like a total idiot, you guys. Someone make sense of this. I guess it's gonna turn 3. No way, that feels so wrong though. Anyway, regardless, I used to record every single episode on the floor of my office in my childhood bedroom, or my childhood house. And I don't know, it's just like such a fun tradition. And then I obviously like moved up to my desk, and I don't remember why exactly I started recording on the floor. Maybe just like where the mic was placed worked out best and the floor just felt right. I don't really remember, but this just feels nostalgic to me. I remember when I first moved into this apartment, I recorded my first couple episodes in this spot that I'm in right now. And since then, I've just like recorded in random places around my house, but I'm like, why haven't I continued to record here? Because it just feels so right. So that is where we're at today. We're on the floor. Just a couple quick announcements before we get into today's topic and the current favorite and the quote of the week and all that stuff. Next week, I'm going to record our monthly Q&A, which I haven't done one since July, kind of slipping up on the monthly Q&As, but that's okay. I don't necessarily have a theme for this episode, but a couple of you guys have sent me DMs of just scenarios that you want advice on. Our last Q&A was breakup boot camp, and it was all of your like relationship situations, and I just gave you kind of my perspective and my take and advice on all of those. And so I don't really have a theme in mind for this coming advice episode / Q&A, but if you have a scenario that you want advice on, send it my way. Whether it's like relationships, friendships, college, moving, early 20-somethings, dilemmas, I would love to give you my 2 cents, because that's just kind of what I do. So submit your scenarios either in the group chat. I'll start a thread, which if you guys haven't joined the group chat, you totally should. Click the link in the show notes to learn more about that. There's almost like 250 of you in there, which is insane. So if you want to join the group chat, click the link in the show notes. So I'll start a thread in the group chat where you guys can submit your scenarios, or you can just send them over DM. You can reach me at 8020pod or at Lily Rayco. I know that it's super broad and there's like very minimal call to action to just not have a theme for next week's episode, but I just genuinely don't want to limit what you can ask me. So I'm just leaving it super open-ended. And I just appreciate your guys' participation in these episodes. It's always so fun to just hear from you and get to kind of talk about you guys on the pod instead of talking about me. So if you guys have a situation that you want advice on or just hear my 2 cents, send me a message and I will probably put you on the show. If you guys have been listening to the podcast for a while, you would probably remember the episode that I did with Austin Anderson, the founder and CEO of Daily. I actually have Austin here with me right now to talk about something super exciting that we're doing.
Hey guys, I'm Austin Anderson. I'm the founder of Daily, the new authentic social media app where users share pictures and videos of their daily life with no filters and no uploads from their camera roll. So it's all in the moment, completely unfiltered, very realistic content.
Something that I personally love about Daily is that it's totally different than any other social media platform out there. So if you guys have followed along for a while, you know that I'm not really interested in totally filtering everything. I pretty much just say and post whatever I feel like posting. If you guys aren't on it, you should totally check it out. But that's not the reason why we're talking to you today. I am super pumped to announce that I'm actually teaming up with Daily for an event on October 10th for World Mental Health Day.
Mental health day is really important to Daily because one of our foundational elements is building a better and more positive social media and especially social space.
So on October 10th, Daily is hosting a panel to discuss the importance of authenticity online for a healthier mind. You can join me, Lily Rayco,
And me, Austin Anderson.
and a few surprise special guests for a virtual World Mental Health Day event. Pre-registration is open now. You can head to daily.com/events to grab your seat.
See you there.
Kind of getting into today's topic, my day has inspired today's topic, and that is obviously the title of today's episode, which is the art of doing nothing, which you guys know because you read the title of today's episode and decided to click on it. The art of doing nothing is something that I struggle with so much, so much. And I'm the type of person, I've always been this way, that I always have to be involved in like 10,000 things, but that typically doesn't go well for me. I will say I've realized in recent months that I do really well when I'm really busy, and I have my most fun when I'm really busy. But then whenever it comes time to slow down and do nothing, I'm like, what the actual heck am I doing? And I feel so guilty for taking time to just chill and relax, and I typically only relax and chill if I'm like forced to, which isn't good either. So the whole art of doing nothing has been something that I've struggled with for such a long time. And when I woke up this morning, my first thought was, I have to go do something. Like, I have to fill my day with something because I truly do not know how to turn on the off switch. I'll tell you guys how it went. I went to sleep on Friday night intentionally not setting an alarm because I wanted to let myself sleep in. And because I typically wake up pretty early on weekdays anyway, I naturally woke up at like 7:30, which I guess was sleeping in for me. I probably got out of bed at like 8:30 though, and I did something that I normally don't do, and I just laid in bed for a while. So that was a good start. But as soon as I got up, I was like, okay, I have to go do something. And I was just kind of like itching to get out of the house. And I don't know what part of me has decided that going out and doing something first thing in the morning equals having a good day. But for some reason, that's just kind of how I'm wired. And so when I woke up this morning and I had nothing going on, I like panicked. I was like, what is going on? I felt like my world was like crumbling to pieces because it was so out of my normal routine. But at the same time, I knew that this hole in my calendar was a huge blessing because it was the first time that I've been, I guess we'll say, challenged to not do anything in a very, very long time. So I got out of bed and I brushed my teeth, washed my face, the whole bit. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to start my day how I usually do. And that is with my meditation and my journal. So I sat outside and I did that. And I genuinely just killed time. I took it really, really slow. And I called my mom. We chatted for a while. I made breakfast. I did like eggs and berries. And I did some laundry. I cleaned my bathroom a little bit. And then I looked outside and I was like, holy crap, it's the most beautiful day I've ever seen. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's like 70 degrees. I think I'm going to go for a walk and I'll just see where the rest of the day takes me. So I walked over the Eastport Bridge and I went to Rise Up first and I did a cold brew with oat milk. And then I called Lexi for a little bit and we chatted. And she entertained me for like 30 minutes as I just continued to walk around. And then it was like 10:15 and some of the stores were starting to open up. So I was like, you know what? I could use a little fall wardrobe update. Let me pop into a few of these boutiques and see what I can find. So I ended up getting some cute new pieces. And then it was like, I don't know, 11:30. And I walked back over the bridge. I was feeling super good. And I was like, it's such a beautiful day. My podcast that I was listening to was super motivating in my headphones. I was like, you know what? I'm going to drop these bags in my car and I'm going to go for a run because why not? I need to sweat today. I always feel so much better when I sweat. So I dropped my bags off at my car and I just put my car keys in like this little pocket that my Lululemon leggings had that I didn't know that I had this pocket until I started running recently, and I've been putting my keys in this pocket and it's super convenient. But they're the Lulu Wonder Under trains, and I've been wearing the crop ones since it's like kind of hot out. And they've got a little pocket in the waistband and you can like put your keys or your AirPod case or whatever. So anyway, I stuck my car keys in there and I just like brought the fob with me. I like took the rest of the keys off, just brought the fob, and I just turned on the Nike Run Club app and ran like 2 miles and then came back home, showered, and I was like, wow, it's only noon and I feel like I've done so much today, but it's been very much spontaneous and on my own time and like restful productivity, I feel like maybe that's a new term that I need to coin, restful productivity. So while I was on my run, I had this thought, like, why do I constantly feel like I have to be doing something 24/7 or else my time is wasted or I'm lazy or I'm not doing enough? And I feel like that's such a big thing in my life right now is I feel like I'm not doing enough when really I'm doing a lot. We can go deep here for a second, but maybe I feel like I'm not enough, or maybe I'm trying to fill a void, or maybe I just constantly feel like I have to prove myself to who I don't know, maybe prove myself to myself or prove myself to the people around me or prove myself to future people. I don't know, it's probably a mixture of all of those things, but I constantly feel like I'm moving at 100 miles per hour with like all gas, no brakes. It's very easy to feel this way and very, very easy to slip into these like hustle culture patterns. And to some degree, it's almost like an addiction. Like in recent months, I've caught myself trying to multitask even when it's totally not necessary. For example, like brushing my teeth and trying to respond to a text message at the same time. Like both of those activities do not have to go together. The text doesn't have to be sent right this second, but for some reason I feel like the text has to be sent right now because the other person's waiting. And I've got 2 hands, so why not brush my teeth in one hand and respond to a text in the other? And it's just stupid. Like, that doesn't have to be the case. And secondly, multitasking is actually really, really bad for your brain. And I was actually watching like a TED talk about this the other day. If I can find it, I'll link it in the description. But multitasking takes like 10 years off your life. Like if you constantly that's kind of an extreme example, but if you're constantly trying to do like 12 different things at one time, you're only giving like 10% to each of those things. You're not giving it your full and undivided attention. And same thing with listening to. Like I personally cannot listen to music while I'm trying to write, unless it's instrumental like jazz music or lo-fi beats, because your brain really can't listen and produce words at the same time. Like, have you ever heard someone say something and then you say that thing too because they said it, but really you were talking about something else, and then you're like, wait, I only said that or thought that because you just said it? And it's like your brain can't figure out what's going on because there's just too much happening around you. So that's my issue with multitasking, and I just know that I shouldn't do it, but I feel like I constantly have to be like moving at 10,000 miles per hour. So this is your friendly reminder that it's perfectly okay to do nothing. Maybe this is more of a reminder for myself. This is me like looking in the mirror and saying, you're allowed to sit still. You're allowed to put away the computer. You're allowed to unplug. You have full permission to just chill and enjoy yourself and enjoy doing it. But unfortunately, it's not that easy, right? Maybe I'm generalizing you guys, the audience, here a little bit, but if you're listening to the show, you're probably like me in the sense like you're an overthinker, you're an overachiever. The more I thought about this whole concept, the art of doing nothing while I was on my run, I came to the conclusion that rest can kind of come in two forms. And one of those forms is a practice of active rest. And then the other one is more of like recovery rest. So active rest is essentially doing things that keep you busy, but that also fill your cup. So like this morning, because I knew that I didn't have anything on my calendar today, I felt like I had to do something. I was doing things, but it was more spontaneous. It was like hobbies and fun things and just things that I like to do outside of work that fill my cup. Still occupying my time, but not really like taxing on my mind and body. It was just purely enjoyable and purely up to me. And I don't really count this morning as a bunch of productive things. It was just genuinely fun, and it allowed me to fill my time, but I wasn't like pressured to do anything. I didn't feel like I was working. I didn't feel like I was forced to do anything. I just let the day kind of show me what it had in store. So maybe for you, this is like your hobbies. Maybe you like to golf. Maybe you like to paint. Maybe you like to go try new restaurants. Maybe you like to cook. Whatever you like to do that you don't consider work, you could consider active rest. And I think the best type of active rest is things that, like I said, aren't planned. Obviously, like it's fun to, schedule your yoga class into your calendar, but it doesn't always have to be like this structured thing that you go to every single day and it gets very, I have to go do X, Y, and Z. You just get to go do these things because they fill your cup and they make you happy and you genuinely enjoy it. The second type of rest is what I like to call recovery rest. And this is you're truly sitting doing nothing, and this is what I struggle the most with. This is like the type of rest where you feel like it has to be raining outside or you have to be sick in order to chill. And neither of those things were happening for me. I just had nothing on my to-do list, nothing in my calendar, but yet I still knew that there were things that I could be doing even around the house. I'm like, okay, well, like the kitchen, it could be cleaner. The laundry, I could do some of it. Like I just knew that there were a million things to do even just around the house. Like, I could be online shopping for new furniture, or I could record another episode of the podcast, or I could be making reels. Like there are a million things that I could be doing right now instead of just chilling in my bed doing nothing, like watching Friends or reading a book or something, which you're allowed to do, by the way. You're allowed to participate in recovery rest that truly is doing nothing. And I think that we should all do nothing more. Truly nothing, like just to have nothing on your calendar. So even though I knew that there were so many other things that I could be doing, I let myself do nothing. Unfortunately, when you participate in the art of doing nothing, sometimes you get wrapped up in the art of overthinking. It's quite unfortunate that overthinking just kind of sneaks up, and maybe that's why we like to keep ourselves busy, right? Because you don't really have time to overthink things. Oftentimes, overthinking is just creating problems, creating stress in your head that aren't real. And I know this, and that's probably why I keep myself busy, so then in turn I don't overthink. That's why active rest is super important, because you're keeping yourself busy, but you're still resting. Whereas recovery rest, you're definitely more susceptible to overthinking because you're just by yourself, hanging out. There's not much to do, so let's just think about this and think about that. And, oh, I could have said this better in this conversation. Or, am I doing good at my job? Or does my crush like me back? Or, I should change this about myself, and maybe I should try this instead of doing that. And it just turns into this big, crazy mess. And it's not really very much fun. So then it ruins your do-nothing day because you're busy ruining it for yourself. So how do you stop that shit from happening? I have 4 steps to stop overthinking from happening. These are 4 things that I actually do anytime my mind starts to go places that it shouldn't. I activate these 4 steps almost immediately because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So first things first, identify that you're starting to overthink. If you don't catch it early enough, you'll just let these thought patterns continue and just kind of like escalate into something that they're totally not. If the things that you're thinking about are negative, like if you're being mean to yourself, or if you are thinking negative things about someone else, or you're thinking that negative things might happen, you gotta reframe those thoughts, which we'll talk about more in step 4. Step number 2 is to do something about it. So whether this is writing it down in a journal, or talking to a friend, or talking to your therapist about it, maybe writing it down and then bringing it in your next session. It's funny how as soon as you write a thought down, or as soon as you say it out loud, you're like, wow, that sounds so stupid. There was a very interesting situation that happened to me a couple weeks ago, and I was telling a friend about it, and I was just laughing, and I was like, why am I even sad about this situation when the other person in the situation sounds like a total idiot, and I am actually doing fantastic, and I should not be worked up over this whole situation. But in my head, I made it out to be one way. I tried to identify all these things that were wrong with me that maybe made this other person feel this way. And it just made me realize how often we work up situations in our heads to be something that they're not. And then as soon as we vocalize those things, you just sound like a total idiot because you made the situation totally something that it's not. So step number 3 is to take your mind off of whatever you're overthinking about. I don't want to tell you not to process your thoughts, but after you've identified that you're overthinking, you've done something about it. So you've phoned a friend, you wrote in your journal, you talked to your therapist. Don't let yourself sit in this misery for much longer. So this is where we come full circle. Your active rest might be your next best option. If you're not okay with just sitting by yourself in your house, which we all need to work on being lonely in a good way sometimes. Like I've become very dependent on always being around people, and so then when I get alone, I do start to overthink. But that's something that I'm working on, is just being okay doing things by myself again. But this is when you activate your active rest. And then last step is to remember that what you focus on becomes a reality. So if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, I feel like I talk about this in almost every single episode, but if you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, if you're constantly thinking that the worst is going to happen, of course the worst is going to happen. Of course those negative things will happen. Once you start to reframe those negative thoughts in a positive mindset, whether it's overthinking or just something bad that you thought about yourself, or even just the fact that, oh, I have to be productive all the time. If you constantly believe that you have to be productive all the time, of course you're going to feel like you have to be productive all the time. So obviously something that I'm working on is being okay with taking rest. So I constantly tell myself, you have permission to take rest. You deserve to take rest. You've worked really hard. Please take rest. Rather than constantly feeling like I'm not allowed to take rest. So that is it for today's episode. I really, really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a 5-star rate and review. That just helps more people find and listen to the show. If you enjoyed today's episode, also be sure to share it on Instagram. I always am reposting you guys. Thank you so, so much for listening. I love you so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I will chat with you next Thursday.